What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Cool Colas here, and you are now tuning into a new video on my channel. But before we get all into the topic for today, I would love it if you did a few things. Hit the like button, subscribe button, share button, and bell icon so you get notifications for whenever I come out with new content on this channel. And then when you are finished watching this video, I would love it if you left me a comment below. That way I can get back to whatever it is that you had to say about this topic. For this topic, I want to talk about y'all's boy Denzel and how he stated that he had kissed a man that is, in the Gladiator movie. And I want to talk about all the outrage that has been going about on social media about this phenomenon that has come out. So let's get into it. For those of you all who are unaware, I'm going to give you a brief summary of what happened with the situation, but there was an interview that was conducted and Denzel Washington revealed that he kissed a man in a scene in this Gladiator movie, and that scene was deleted so we wouldn't get to see it. But then he later explained and said that he did this kiss of death ritual, which included kissing the man on the hand and on the cheek, and then him being offed after that. And a lot of people have expressed outrage at hearing about Denzel kissing a man. And I want to give all of my thoughts on this because this is a very loaded situation and it is something that is worth discussing. So, while everybody else is outraged, I'm actually not surprised by this whatsoever. And I'm not surprised for multiple reasons. And I think that it's important that we do somewhat of a case study, an old Negro Sympathizer case study on Denzel Washington to map out why this shouldn't be really surprising to anyone. The problem with a lot of us in Black society is that we are desperate in trying to find heroes and individuals who we can identify with and we can look up to, especially when you look at the different icons that are in Hollywood, because we don't have a lot of leaders. What I mean by that is current leaders in empowerment who can be emulated well, especially when you think about like Black men. There's not a lot of Black male leaders who are able to be good signs or good symbols that a Black man or a Black person in general should want to emulate. And so Denzel Washington tends to fill this void that Black society often misses because they see him as an individual who carries himself in a certain way that is positive. And for men, he's masculine. He's somebody who has held himself to a higher standard. He has asserted certain boundaries, in his career. And there's a certain way that he does business when he is, doing certain movies or television shows and whatnot. In his acting career, he is somebody who is seen as admirable. I've said this before and I'll say this again. We have to, and I mean we absolutely have to, do a better job of using our discernment properly. Too many of you all are not separating the artist from the mindset. You have to look at both of these things individually when it comes to these different celebrities. Oftentimes we're trying to find a celebrity who is the perfect everything. They have this incredible skill and they also are this incredible individual who is a great moniker for the Black community and Black excellence and ultimately Black empowerment. And so a lot of people look to Denzel as that, and they see him as an elder also too in that regard. So that also gives him a little bit more clout. So a lot of people were shocked because he was the individual who went on to say, he wouldn't do kissing scenes with white women, specifically Julia Roberts. And so him as a Black man saying that was an incredible statement, because what it shows is that he had a certain loyalty to Black society, specifically Black women and the Black family structure. But it was somewhat strange for him to be public about saying that he had kissed a man, and he didn't really give any context or anything like that. So at first he didn't give any context about that situation. So now let's look into this in a different light. When you really think about Denzel Washington, you have to seriously look at his catalog, and you have to look at the big picture ultimately. We all know that Hollywood is really Holly weird, and nobody really comes out unscathed. And if they do come out unscathed, that's because they've been kicked out. That's because they've been ousted. That's because there's somebody who's been blackballed. And one thing that you have to ask yourself is, why was Denzel never an individual who was blackballed? Unless he was somebody who, behind closed doors, would capitulate to certain agendas or certain things going on. And I could kind of see that being a thing to a certain extent. And one of the reasons why I say that is because look at what I said in a previous video about the old Negro sympathizer. The old Negro sympathizer has this behavior that they want to hold themselves to a certain aesthetic. And as a result, the black community holds them in high esteem. But they don't really do anything that's actually pro-black. Look at his catalog. What has Denzel actually done for black society? Denzel is a marquee actor. I mean, he doesn't even have to try out for roles and he can just get them. And it's pretty much been confirmed that this is a thing. Why would he not use his resources or his money or anything like that to create studios and things that can help put black people on, black actors, black men, black women? That's ultimately a great thing that one can do for black society. But I haven't really heard anything critical or crucial that Denzel has done for the black community as a whole. Now, again, I don't have that expectation that celebrities would do that. But what I'm getting at is that this should not be a surprise because he has not really done anything. He's only created an aesthetic that people feel is worth admiring him for. But outside of that, his repertoire of what he's done for the grassroots and black society is basically not there. So when people say they're surprised, it shows me that the real problem is that they didn't properly discern the individuals who they held in high esteem. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Denzel Washington's work. I think he has done a fabulous job. He bodies every single role he does, and he deserves all the credit that he can get for all of the things that he has done. But to sit here and say that you also admire his mindset is something that was a mistake by black society. So for people to say they're disappointed, you're disappointed because you did not discern properly. I'm going to say something and it's probably going to piss a lot of you all off, but you know I don't care. Denzel Washington, when he made that statement, was being a disingenuous Negro. He's not letting you know the full truth of what's going on. I can tell you what I believe is happening. But of course, I can't confirm this. I can only go off of my own discernment, you know, the discernment that none of you all were using, which is why a lot of you all were surprised when you heard about what Denzel had done. I believe that Denzel was at the end of his career, as he said before. He only has a few notches left in his belt before he's going to retire, a few, projects that he's going to be on. And as a result, what they were trying to do, what I mean by they, I mean Hollywood, the dominant society, etc. They were trying to buck break him on his way out, and they probably were willing to give him a very large paycheck to pull some of the stunts that he pulled. That's why they were very vague and cryptic and weird, because when Denzel did what he did, he was being a disingenuous Negro, because there was no reason for him to even say he had kissed a guy without context, because he knew good and well, even with him trying to play it off later and saying, well, I don't know why everybody's making a big deal out of it. You know damn well why everybody's making a big deal out of it, Denzel. That's why you're being a disingenuous Negro. You're just not being real. Like, you did that for a specific reason. And I believe that reason is because there was a dangling carrot effect. He was already on his way out because it was time for retirement. And he was like, they were basically like, Denzel will give you a big check, just say this, say that, yada, yada, yada. And he was like, okay, fuck it. And that's what I truly believe ended up happening, because it would be weird for him to do that any other time, especially when his whole career, he went his whole career basically without doing it. So to me, this was just him showing you that he has a lot of old Negro sympathizer traits. So to me, that's one thing that you all, I think, are obviously seeing right now, which is why you're shocked. But I've seen other things too. Like, for example, one thing I've noticed is that he was helping produce certain projects that had like weird little tropes and messages and things like that, you know, didn't really make sense, and were just things that just didn't have to be there. Like, for example, he helped in producing the movie Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. In the movie, there was a character called Levy Green, and he was played by Chadwick Boseman. If I butchered his name, you all know what I meant. Move the hell on. Don't major in the minors. But anyway, Chadwick Boseman was playing this character. And he essentially was an angry Negro, and they played a drapetomania role with this character. This was a character who was fictitious. He wasn't somebody who was based on a real person, nor was Levy at all a real person. This character was shoehorned in there to create a villain, and they made a black man the villain of a movie when essentially the real villain was the white supremacist who was trying to basically take Ma Rainey's music and make profits off of it and exploit her and all this other stuff. And he was a part of that project. And so a lot of people are hesitant to try to criticize it because, one, Chadwick Boseman was on it and he is no longer alive, unfortunately. And then because Denzel was helping produce it, so people were trying to shy away from wanting to give any criticisms towards it. But me, I don't give a damn because I see past all of the smoke screens. So when I saw that, I said, okay, that means that he's willing to help produce some things that may have some janky messages and whatnot in there. Because what a lot of you all don't realize is that although Denzel was helping in producing this thing, you also had a lot of, and I say this all the time, if you look at any type of any movie or whatever where a black person who's producing it or is the showrunner, he's put at the forefront or she's put at the forefront, there are always a bunch of white people and random people with European names that you either can't pronounce or you never fucking heard of before, and they're on the project as well too. And anytime you see somebody who is non-black on that project, you can assume that there is probably foul play and that they wanted certain messages, and at the end of the day they had that say so, and the black people, as long as a carrot was dangled, said okay. So you can bet that Denzel also did that same thing. Again, I want to make it clear, this is all speculation, but when you see something as strange as Denzel going out there and saying, you know, I kissed a guy, not giving any context, and then trying to back it up and walk it back later, you have to raise an eyebrow and wonder, this is pretty weird. What's really happening here? And I want to make something very, very clear, if I have not already made this clear on my channel. When it comes to the whole LGBT thing, what my statement here is not a shot at that community or anything like that. I've said many times before, there's a difference between giving healthy promotion to those who are LGBT and what the dominant society is trying to create as a way to buck break the black man in Hollywood. These are two very separate things. And they often try to do this to masculine black men because they want to break them. So in other words, this is not my belief that being gay means that you are effeminate now, but their belief is that they can convince the rest of society that a black man should be buck broken if they get in Hollywood, and tries to portray those images. And what they did finally was do it through Denzel, which is something that had never been done previously, or at least the image of it. Y'all need to remember that a lot of these things cannot be taken literally. The dominant society has an obsession with playing these mental games. So they like to create symbolic messages through a lot of us in black society, and a lot of black men especially, saying certain things that may lean towards this idea of buck breaking, which is why you'll see this trend of black men wearing dresses, and especially if they're black men who are known to be heterosexual black men, or this trend of black men, you know, kissing other men. And a lot of times they're kissing other men who aren't even black. So they do this ritualistically. This is not something to give people who are LGBT the proper promotion that they deserve so that they can, again, feel like they're being embraced and that they don't have to live in the closet their whole lives and not be able to be themselves. And there's even a good chance that with this type of thing, they probably told Denzel to say that. Even if he didn't do it because we didn't see the scene, they probably told him to say that because that's a part of their agenda. So again, I want to make it painfully clear that these things are not being done by coincidence. These things are not being done because of healthy promotion. These things are not being done by accident. And also too, do not allow them to gaslight you so that you believe that this is not fishy, that this is not weird. Because again, Denzel was being a disingenuous Negro. No matter how much you like Denzel, he was being a disingenuous Negro. Let's just be real for a second. All right, you all. I hope you all enjoyed this topic, and I hope you all enjoyed what I had to say, and I would love to hear your thoughts and what you think about everything. So make sure that you stay tuned and continue to listen to what I have and what I'm going to put out on this channel. Other than that, I hope that y'all have a good rest of y'all's day, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.